What is up, lockerheads and horse racing fans? Welcome, guys. My regulars, you know what this is. The people that are here just for the horse racing. I normally just buy storage lockers and show the contents of that video. But in this video, I'm going to do an analysis of the Super Saturday of the Jockey Club Gold Cup. It is my favorite race day of the year. I know many people's is the Derby or the Breeders' Cup, but I'm from New York. I got this at Belmont. I go to NYRA frequently. My dad worked at NYRA, and I grew up there, so it just has a special place in my heart. With this, all we're doing in this one is I already pre-analyzed the races, and I'm going to show you the races as well. But what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a little bit about some of the horses, what I like about them, and then tell you the horse I really like, and what do you call it? I'm going to tell you all of my bets. Our limit is, it's $220, I believe. It's going to be 10 to win and 10 to place on one horse per race. And I'm going to give you that horse, but I'm also going to tell you the other horse that I like in the race. And if you enjoy this video, I will be doing another video with my pick 4s and my pick 3s and stuff. Let me just turn this TV off quick. Sorry about that. I didn't realize the glare. And so let's do it. Get my brain ready. Alrighty. So let's shrink me down. Boom. Okay, so that's that. And we are off to the races. Ha 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 ha, Corey. Funny one. So this is the first race of the day. It's at 12. I don't know the time exactly. It goes off 12 p.m. 12:15, something like that. It is a 7 furlong on the turf, maiden special weight for $75,000. And there are 3 horses that I like. And let's start with my least favorite. Got my paper right here. Okay, so my least favorite is Reality Queen. And Reality Queen is a career maiden at this point. She's run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races as a 2-year-old already, which is a lot. Has yet to win. She has been running in her last 2 races were expensive races, $83,000, $120,000. Before that, she was at the $40,000 level, and was running a little bit better. Since then, they moved her up. She has only finished 4th, but she does have the race experience. This is a tough race though, but she may be ready to pop. The race experience gives her a little bit of an advantage over these, because some of these only have 1 or 2 races under their belt. If she can improve with the race experience, she's definitely has a chance to win. And the break in distance, because if you notice, in a few of her races, she was on the front end. So the break in distance could help her out with her running style. The next horse, the second horse that I liked is Cocktail Countess, I believe. Yeah, Cocktail Countess. She is a first-time starter, but the trainer wins at a high percentage, if you look right here, with first-time starters and first-time on turf, 18 and 14 respectively, which for first-time starters is a pretty good win percentage. Linda Rice does win a lot, if you see right here. Where is it? Sprinting. She wins 28% of turf sprints, I believe. I think this is supposed to say turf sprint, because I think in a different one we saw it. But whatever. She does win. I know for a fact she wins with a high percentage of turf sprinters. And she did have a recent bullet workout. getting her ready for this race. And a decent 2 out of 7. The last workout was 41 out of 69, but they could have been trying to take her easy, getting her ready for the race. We don't know. That's the insider information. And finally, the horse I really like. The horse I'm going to put 10 to win and 10 to place on is Bratta. It's a Chad Brown trained horse. Has a race under his belt, or her belt, sorry. Finished 2 by 1 3/4. She did have to go a little wide, it appears, if you look at her last race. But Chad Brown's second maiden start has a 28% win rate. This horse was closing at the end. Gets a little bit more distance, I believe, 7 furlongs, and that was a 5.5. So he gets another furlong and a half, and should be set to improve. Has some good bloodline, good connections all around. So for me, I'm going to be doing 10 to win in place on Bratta. And obviously I'm going to talk about the exotics in the next video, if I decide to do the next video with the exotics. Oh, and one thing I wanted to say is I prefer handicapping this way. I know other people prefer other ways, but I like getting the race form early and getting no odds or anything. I like to handicap before I see odds, because I think odds have a psychological effect on everybody. So I just like to handicap without odds. I just bet whoever I decide without the odds. So let's go to the next race. We have a mile and a 16th allowance race on the main track. $77,000 allowance. I think it's non-winners of one other than their maiden, I believe is what that is. So let me just look at this one again. Okay. So my least favorite horse in the race was Hookup, but he's still a good horse. He was a first out winner. The first time they ever raced him, he won. Then they put him in a grade 2, which is a big step up in class. He did not do much, was 8th by 15. Then they sent him to Saratoga for an $85,000 allowance with the same condition as this one. It is for the trainer David Canizzo. And it was a mile and an eighth. And he finished 3rd by 1. He was closing a little bit, it seems. Bumped hard at the break, it does say. So it gives him a little bit of an excuse. But they cut him back in distance. They give him, I believe, it's around the same class. But when I looked at the race, it is probably a little bit of a class relief. And I think he's back where he needs to be, though. I think this is the race he should have probably been in. But anytime you get a younger horse that wins decently, like he was 1st by 4, you know, it's always tempting to put them in that early graded stakes race. But obviously he wasn't close to the class. He finished 8th by 15. But it seems like if he gets a good start, he probably does have a chance to improve greatly. Yeah. Oh, his workout. That's always the one thing I wrote in my notes is I really did wish he had a little bit of better workouts, because if you look, they're not that great at workouts. So that was one of the reasons why he was number 3 and not number 1. There's a little fly in here. Then the next horse is, hold on. Okay, yeah. So the next horse for me would be Glenn Richmond. He's my number 2 horse. They did aim really, really high with him early. It did take him a while to break his maiden, but when he finally broke his maiden in Aqueduct's Inner, they aimed him for the Wood Memorial, which is a grade 1. And he finished 6th by 24, so he wasn't even competitive at any point in this race, except maybe when they broke out of the gate, he was 6th by 3. But after that, he was by 6, by 7, by 15, and by 24. So they aimed him really, really high. But that means that they had high hopes for him. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be. They did give him the break. And now they're aiming him at, a very reasonable area. I think he's going to need a race or two. For this, like he has to, he needs that work before the layoff. like after the layoff, you're going to need that one race to get in, at least. Sometimes horses need 2 races, so we'll see. But I do like him in here. I definitely think he will finish in the top 3. And then the horse I really like in here is Coopertown. He is coming off of his first win. It was on the front, on the lead, but it was at Belmont, which I like. He was like steady. He wasn't really opening up. They're adding a 16th of a mile, but I don't think he should. I don't think it should really affect him like it says here. Veered in, but he held well, meaning he did go in, but it didn't affect his running too much. I believe it's going to be his 3rd start. I believe he learned a lot from his last win as well. So I think he'll just take steps forward. He has really good bloodline with Spicetown and Ghost Sapper as his sire and grandsire on the other side. Very strong connections with Windstar, Todd Pletcher, Johnny Velasquez. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. That was the other thing. The second off the layoff, Todd Pletcher usually wins 24% of his horses. That's another good statistic. And I will be putting 10 to win in place on Cooperstown as well. Or Coopertown. Sorry, not Cooperstown. Coopertown. And let's go to the 3rd race. The 3rd race is the Belmont Turf Sprint, $150,000 6 furlong race on the inner turf. This is a pretty good field. I like this field a lot. And let's see. Okay, so we'll start with Snow Day. I do like this horse. He's not my favorite, but I do like him. You know, he was a foreign-bred French horse, and in France, they do like to run a lot more on the turf there. I don't even know how many dirt tracks they have in France, but he did come to America, and he is a 7-year-old, and it seems like I wrote here, he has been improving, though, because if you look at the stats on here, you know, he was running an allowance optional claiming races for the last year. Actually, 2 years from 2015 on. And then he wins 25,000 allowance by 4 lengths. So they put him in the overnight stakes, the Mr. Frenchman. It's a $63,000 overnight stakes. An overnight stakes is an ungraded stakes race. And he wins that one. So then they put him in a grade 3, where he finishes 3rd by a half. And grade 3s are tough company. So that's nothing to laugh at. And they bring him right back. You know, it is at Laurel Parks in Monmouth. That's why he is in number 1, because it is a little bit of weaker company, but it's still good horses. But he does win that one. So that's nice to see. So he's improving as a 7-year-old, which is nice to see, because most of the time horses, when they turn that age, start going the reverse way, start decreasing in their wins and stuff like that, start getting ready for retirement. But he seems to like the older age. And the next horse I liked in here was I guess he's the 2, but it's the horse We Deer You, and it's DEER, like a deer in the headlights. And I do like that he's won 3 out of his last 4. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, and his only second was in a grade 3, like I said before. Grade 3s are a little bit tougher than these overnight stakes, but he did win a $66,000 allowance at Woodbine. He won a 62 optional claimer at Belmont on this turf course, if you see here. Like I said, finished second in the grade 3. Then they brought him to Saratoga, where he wins. It was a restricted race, but it was a stakes race, so he won $100,000 in that race. And you know, he seems to be an improving horse as well. He's only broke his maiden this year in February. So they didn't race him until he was 4, which is weird to see, but it looks like it's paid off, because he's won 4 out of 7 lifetime with a second. So he's improving, and I definitely think he is a major player in this race. But the horse I really like that I'm going to be going with is Disco Partner. Let's see. The trainer, Christoph Clemente, has a high turf sprint win percentage. This horse has won 3 of his last 4, including 2 overnight stakes and a grade 3. And as we said, the grade 3s are a little tougher. So you see he did win the grade 3. And the last loss he had was in a grade 1. And it was a yielding course. So yielding, he might not have liked the course. Yielding means it must have rained. And it was a slower paced course. So it had moisture in it. And it was a grade 1. A grade 1's, he lost to World Approval. World Approval is one of the best turf horses out there right now. So it's no shame to lose that. But before that, he won 3 races in a row, and 2 of them were $150,000. I don't know what the grade 3, what the price of that race was, but it's probably around that much too. And, he's been running in mostly stakes races. He ran 4th in this race last year. And before that, he won a stakes race. So he's been lightly raced this year. But that probably means he's ready to pop. And the trainer also has a 20% win percentage with layoffs of 31 to 60 days. So he's going to have the horse ready after the layoff. And the horse has run well after layoffs. He's won after one layoff. Finished 4th in one layoff, which isn't great. But it's still pretty good, considering that looked like it was longer. Yeah, that was a much longer layoff. So my 10 and 10 will be going on Disco Partner in that race. And let's put this one in the cup. And move on to the 4th race. So in the 4th race, we have a mile and the 16th on the turf, maiden special weight, $75,000. It's on the outer turf course this time instead of the inner turf. Let's rip this one out. Okay, so I know this one already off the bat because this is my best bet of the day. But we have 2 other really good solid horses in here, and I would be scared of either one of them. I just happen to like my pick. But let's start off with Boru, B-O-R-U. He's down here. Let me get this up for you. There you go. And he is a first-time starter. So he's never raced before, but it is out of the Todd Plectrum barn, who wins with 22% of his first-time starters. So he really knows how to get his horses ready to run for the first time. Great bloodline. He has Curlin, who came second in, I believe it was the Man of War to Red Rocks. And then you have Warfront on the other side, another good horse for turf breeding. And you have Todd Plectrum, who is a phenomenal trainer all around. He's won every major race pretty much. And let's see, bloodlines. And I think they paid a lot of money, $450,000 they paid for the horse. So that means they're going to want to win pretty quick with that horse. They don't want to take their time with him because they paid a lot of money up front for him. So let's go back to our next horse, Ambassador Jim. And this is his 3rd lifetime start, so he's due to improve, most likely. It's always not always the rule, but he is likely to improve. And he was closing at the end. Wait, what? I think I was looking at the wrong one with that. But whatever it is. Oh no, he was closing at the end of his first race. And this one he was close to the lead. But it is Christoph Clemente who is in the other race. He does get his horses ready to run off a little bit of a layoff. The Jockey, Rosario, and Christoph Clemente do well together. He is out of a Great Britain bred horse. And the horse I like, he actually finished in front of. But this horse, Blockade, is my horse. The horse has amazing bloodline with Warfront and Smart Strike. Very good connections. McGahee's the trainer. We have Johnny V aboard. His first race, he was closing like a bat out of hell. See, he went from 5th by 7 to 3rd by 3. This is his 2nd race now. So he is going to have that experience under his belt. He is going to get my $10 to win in place. And I think he's going to just improve with the added distance. And And I think Ambassador Jim is going to be up there too. I think he might do the same thing as this race, be first, and then get caught at the wire by Blockade. But we'll see. So now let's move on to the 5th race. And race 5 is a mile and a 16th on the inner turf, a starter allowance, $55,000 race on the inner turf. And I only have 2 horses in this race that I really like. It's a very weak race in my opinion. So that's why I didn't really get too invested in this race anywhere. The first horse I like, my least favorite horse is Hembre, Hembre, trained by Rudy Rodriguez, coming out of a similar race where he finished second. He was claimed from the Ramses, the race before that, for $50,000. They did have him $85,000 allowance, so he's up there. But I feel like he has second-itis. He's always finishing second. He's a good, solid horse for second, though. I think here, if he improves a little bit, if he races into this workout, I think he could definitely improve and take the win. But for my money, my 10 and 10 is gonna go to Krampus. Where is Krampus? Right here. It is only his first race after his maiden win, but he showed a little something, and he hasn't really done much wrong. He had his first race, and then he improved greatly from his first race to his second race. He went from finishing 7th by 7 to winning. And he did go from a special weight to a claimer, but it was a 36 special weight to a 40,000 claimer, so it's a little bit of a drop, but not too much. And with all the horses in here, I think he is in a perfect spot, and I really think he's going to be able to take this race and be 2 for 3 lifetime. So that's where I am on that. So let's go to race 6. Race 6 is a 7 furlong maiden special weight, $75,000 race. This is one of my favorite races of the day. And let's see. Let me take this off. There is a lot of first-time starters in this race, and a lot of, inexperienced horses. Personally, my personal time is important, and this is the number 3 horse that I like here. It is by Claude McGahey, Shug again. Very well bred, Malibu Moon, and Unbridled. The Phipps stable. The only thing I don't like, and the reason why he's number 3, is the McGahey is not great with first-time starters. He has an 8% win percentage with them, and only a 6% win rate with 2-year-olds. But I do think he's going to run a decent race. He does have some bullet workouts, so I think he'll be up there number 2 or 3. And then his next race, he'll really be ready to rock and roll. Yeah, that's exactly what I wrote here. Then we're going to go to a Lord. Where's a Lord? So a Lord is a Chad Brown horse by Paul Pompa, owned by Paul Pompa, what I love. Not the best bloodline in the world, but they did like him. They paid $600,000 for him, so he must have looked good. He does have a race under his belt, which I love. He raced in August in Saratoga. He finished second by 2 1/4, which is good for your first race. With second-time starters, Chad Brown went to 28%, and 28% off 31 to 60-day layoff. So this horse is definitely geared up and ready to go. I might actually bet on him, my 10 and 10, but I do like the horse Montauk a little better. I love the 1, 2, 3. The 3 bullet workouts in recent days. Todd Pletcher, Medaglia d'Oro, APND. Medaglia d'Oro is just a really great sire for young horses. I love the Plectrum Velasquez. Lapenta Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners is a great connections to have. First time start, he wins with 22%, and they paid $850,000 for this horse. So I really think this horse is going to be ready to run. I'm going to put my 10 and 10 on him, but I might change my mind at the last minute, and if I do decide to do that, I will let you guys know on our Facebook. It is facebook.com/GamersLockersLife. If you want to keep an eye out for that. But as of right now, I am going to be betting Montauk. Sorry. I should say it right. I live pretty close to Montauk. Or Wantauk. I don't know. Whatever it is. So, next race is race 7. It is a 6.5 furlong claiming race. $47,000 purse. It is on the main track. And let's start with Story to Tell. I don't really think too much of him, but this is a very weak $25,000 claiming race. You know, this is a filler race on the schedule. They did aim him pretty high at one point. He did have 2 wins in a row. They aimed him for the Toboggan grade 3. And then since then, he hasn't really done much. But they did give him a little bit of a layoff from July to September. And he did do well, so I'm hoping that he can run okay and finish like 2nd or 3rd for an exact or a triple if I decide to play that. And then the next horse is Saratoga Wildcat. I have to see which one it is. Okay, I think he's up. There we go. Saratoga Wildcat. This horse has been claimed 6 of his 12 starts, plus also a jockey, a trainer change on top of that. He only does have 2 wins, but David Jacobson has this statistic. First off the claim, he wins at 19%, which we've seen higher percentages, but for this race and this field, that is a very good statistic. It is definitely something you want to keep your eye on. He's risky horse, but I love the attention. I do love the attention he gets for the claiming. That means he has potential somewhere. And I bet you if he can just settle down and be in a stable for more than a few weeks or a few months, I think he could really step up and get to a little bit of a higher level. And he does have 3 races with 2 wins at this level, and one of them did come on this track, and he has a 2nd place and a 3rd place finish on this track as well. But the horse I am rooting for in this race and putting my 10 to win in place on is Tale of E. Dubai. This horse is taking a big drop in class from a 41, it is a stakes race, but 41 allowance and also a 32 claimer and a 40 claimer. He did do not well in that one. But the last time he was at this level, he won by a length. Actually, he's a little bit of a higher level. He wins by a length. Then they try to put him in the allowance race with the stakes horses, and he didn't do well. But now they're bringing him back where he should be, and it's Michelle Nevin, who is one of my favorite trainers because she was mentored at some point by Rick Dutrow, we all know. And I love Dutrow. In this race, with this company and everything, I believe he's a good horse. He's not a good horse, but at this level, he's a good horse to bet. And I'm going to put 10 to win a place on him, and hopefully he can do it. And I'm probably going to use him and a few other horses in my pick 4s and pick 3s. So, let's go to race 8. The ones you guys have been waiting for. The Champagne. The 1 mile grade 1 Champagne, which is for 2-year-olds. And it is a mile on the main track. And let's go. Let's start with Frisian Fire. I think he's down here. Yep. Frisian Fire is trained by Jason Service, with Ortiz riding him, Mr. Amore Stable, and he won his first 2 starts lifetime. Then they put him in the grade 1 Hopeful, where he finished 4th by 4, which I didn't really like, and that's why he's number 3, because it seems like the extra distance he kind of like faltered with, but he did have to go 4 wide. So it's a little bit of a we don't exactly know type of deal. But John's service, Jason's service this year, I keep saying John, I don't know why, but Jason's service this year is winning at a high percentage, 29%. That is very high. His 2-year-olds are winning at 28%. When he goes from a sprint to a route, he's been winning at 37%. So he knows better than I do, but for my money, I'm gonna probably use him in exactas and stuff, but I'm gonna look elsewhere. The next horse I have in my number 2 in this race is Plectrum Velasquez again. The horse is 1-for-1 in his lifetime, so you can't say much against him. He was opening up. If you look, he was, I don't know if he's really opening up, but he was first by 1, first by 1, first by a half, and then he opened back up again, first by 1, and that was in a 6.5 furlong, and now they're stretching out to a mile, so in theory, he should be able to handle the extra distance. Plectrum has good percentages all around with everything, so that's not a concern. They did pay $430,000 for him. I love the war front. The Indian Charlie, though, tells me I don't think he's going to be able to go more than like a mile and a 16th, a mile and an eighth. So I don't know if he'll be on the Derby trail at some point. They probably will try, but I think he might have distance limitations. But we'll see. I like him, but there is a horse I like better in here, and that is Enticed. I love this horse. It's a Kieran McLaughlin horse for Godolphin Stables, bred by Godolphin, has Robbie Alvarado, or Jay Alvarado. Isn't it Robbie Alvarado? I don't know. But it's Alvarado, Jay Alvarado. I think that's Robbie Alvarado, but I could be wrong. No, it's not. It's Jay Alvarado. Okay, so it's a different jockey than I thought it was, but still. It's Kieran McLaughlin. We have Medaglia d'Oro as the sire. Great sire for young horses, like I said before. And also one of my favorite female horses of the last 10 years. It's Tricky is the mare at a Mineshaft. It's Tricky was one of my favorite horses in the last 10 years. That was a filly. So I am definitely rooting for this horse. The distance is not going to be an issue. On a 6 furlong track, this horse closed and won. You know, he gobbled up ground. He went from 5th by 4 to 4th by 3 to 3 by 2. And then 1st by 1 3/4. So he is not going to have any trouble with the distance, the added distance. I think he's actually going to like it. I see this horse being a mile and an eighth, mile and a quarter horse eventually, because that's what like the breeding seems like it's going to be. So this horse is going to be my pick for my 10 to win in place. And let's move on to the next race. I got a big thing of papers over there. Next race is race 9, the mile and an eighth inner turf, the Hill Prince Grade 3 $500,000 race. Like I said, inner turf. And let's start off with my number 3 horse is Secretary at War. This horse is going to need to improve to be able to win this race, but he does have 2 bullet workouts. His last few races were okay. But I do like the fact that he is a front runner, and I don't think there's much early speed in this race. So I think if Jimmy Jerkins is great at this, if they can get him an early lead, like you see here, 3rd by a neck means this horse almost held on in this race. I know it is a little bit tougher because it is a grade 3, but they did put him in the grade 2, and he wasn't able to hold on. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that this horse might be able to get on the lead and finish in 2nd or 3rd, which I think would be a good race for him. And then my second horse is this one, Yoshida. Has ran in a grade 1, which finished 5th by 4, which isn't bad. And then they put him in a grade 2, 2nd by 2/3. And then another grade 3 and 2nd by a neck. Just seems to be improving. I think he can easily win this race. Definitely going to need the pace. And if this horse can get hooked, if this horse gets hooked in a speed duel with somebody, this horse definitely is going to be closing at the end. Great trainer with Will Mott. But But my horse, I think, has this race, and it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take somebody stepping up big time to really change this. Is Frostmourne. The last 2 races he's run are a grade 2 and a grade 3, and he won 1 by 1 1/4 and 1 by 1 by 6. The last race before that was 2nd by a half to Secretary at War, actually. But then the race before that he won, and then he had grade 3 he didn't win, but that was right after his maiden, and they put him to grade 3. So it's a little tough, but it's out of Christoph Clemente, which we know is already by now. A very good trainer, especially with the turf horses. You see the stats, 23 win percentage off a little bit of a layoff. And this is the horse I think really has it. I think you're going to like the distance. He's 1 for 1 at the distance. On the Belmont turf, he's ran twice and won 1 race, and that was the race at the distance. I believe. Yeah. No. I don't know. Whatever it is. But, like I said, love the fact that he's coming off these 2 races. They gave him a little bit of a layoff. But Christoph Clemente, as we see in the statistics down here, has his horses ready for the races after the layoff. So this horse is definitely dangerous in this spot, and I don't think anybody's going to beat him. Obviously, it's horse racing, and we'll see. But that's where my $10 to win a place is going on that race. And then let's go to the race you've all been waiting for. Race 10, the 1.25 mile Jockey Club Gold Cup Grade 1, $750,000. This is a really weak field. This is the weakest Jockey Club Gold Cup I can ever remember. It might actually be the weakest Jockey Club Gold Cup I ever remember, to be honest. I know the one year I think Drosselmeyer won it, but there was still some good horses in there that just didn't run well. This just doesn't seem like a great field. So I broke it down. I'm going to take shots on... I'm going to put number 3 is Good Samaritan. It's right here. He's raced a lot, and he was like more on... Originally, it looks like he was on the turf path. And then they tried him on the dirt, and he won the Jim Dandy. So they put him in the Grade 1 Travers, where he didn't really run well. But Mott knows what he's doing with a horse, and I think he picked this spot intentionally because he knew it's a weaker field, and he didn't have to face some of the better horses. I like that Rosario stayed. He's a well-bred horse, Harlan's Holiday and Pulpit. The connections are great. Windstar Farms. If he runs to the Jim Dandy, if he runs to that form that he ran in the Jim Dandy, this horse can easily win this race. There's not really a question in my mind about that. But he is going to have to run to that race. And he does seem inconsistent at times because he does have like a 4th by 3. And I don't know. So he has to really run to that form. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to win. Then we go to another young horse who finished behind Good Samaritan. But had another race after that where he seems to have improved a lot. And who knows, he could be geared up to improve even more. He goes from his maiden special weight win to the Grade 2 Jim Dandy. So that's only his 2nd career lifetime start, which is a tough order for anybody. And he finishes 4th by 5. They regroup, bring him to Parks, which isn't the greatest, not the greatest horses, but he blows them out. He finishes 1st by 6th. And like I said, the field in this race is not that strong. So in my opinion, he definitely, if he improves off of that race, which he should because it's going to be now his 4th start, Doug O'Neill really knows what he's doing with horses. We've seen him with a bunch of good horses on the Derby Trail and in the Breeders' Cup from time to time. So he'll have the horse ready, and if the horse can improve off of that last race, definitely can win this race. But the horse I landed on is Diversify. And it looks like a better horse than it really is, because when you look at his races, there's no graded races, except this is going to be his first graded race, which is the tall order, the Jockey Club Gold Cup. But there is not too much speed in this race. There's a little bit, but nothing crazy. And he seems to be able to carry it at times. He won a 1 1/8 race by 11 lengths It was a state bred overnight stakes, but he did win by 11, which is no laughing matter. And then he won the race before that, the Saginaw, by 2 3/4. And then the stakes race before that, he finished by a nose. He finished in second. And then the 3 open company races he did win one of them, finished second in one, and in the stymie, his speed did not hold up well, but they gave him a layoff after that, and he came back well from it. And his first 3 career races, he blew them out. He was first by 4, first by 5, and first by 12. So he does show some crazy early speed, and if he can hold that up for the 1.25 miles, which if there isn't too much other speed in here, which I don't believe there's that kind of early speed that's going to really go out there and duel with him, he might be able to just sneak away and steal the race. I'm going to take a chance on him. My 10-10 is going to go to win on him. And let's move on to the last race of the day, which is 1 1/16. 1 1/16 on the outer turf course for $62,000. This is a trashy race at the end of the day that filled up the card. And I'm going to go with my second horse is going to be Mission Leader. I only have 2 horses in this race that I liked, so he seems to be running well at this level. He was second by a half. The one before that, he didn't run well. The one before that, he didn't run well. Most of these horses didn't run well leading up to this. But I think off of his last race, he did have the layoff that he probably needed. So I think he's due to improve. And they also, it looks like they're trying him out on the turf where they originally were trying him before the sloppy. And he was running well on the turf at that point. So I think he definitely has a chance to improve and win this race. But let's go to the horse I really like, which is, I don't know where he is, Storm Prophet. Storm Prophet. Where are you, Storm Prophet? There he is, the one horse, but I don't know if he's the one for sure. He's run well in his last 3 races, second by a neck, third by 3/4, and third by 1. But this is all in the same, similar or the same level. If he improves just slightly, I believe he easily wins this race. He is with Linda Rice, who isn't having the greatest meet, but if you look at her win percentage off a layoff is 27%, and her allowance is 25%, and she's notoriously good for turf sprints. So I think to end the day, Linda Rice is definitely going to take this race with Joel Rosario. And that's pretty much it. I am going to do a video where I go over my pick 4s and everything. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys would bet. And I will see you guys next time.